toughtrader.com, and Trade and Perform Coaching. So let's kind of get started here and see what we can get done. Let me kill the lights. Let me get my domes up really quick. That'll take just a split second. We'll wait while they're doing that. So while we get started, important notice, past performance is not indicative of future results, right? This is for educational purposes only. I'm sharing my trade plan with you in hopes that it'll make you a better trader, right? Really important. I do lose money when I trade sometimes, right? And most traders lose money from time to time. That's part of the deal, right? If you're losing money consistently, stop trading, go back to paper trading and find out what's wrong with your trade plan. You should have an edge, and that edge should have a high expectancy rate if you're day trading, right? And if you don't have that, that's a sign to take a pause and get reset. It's the best way I can put that. So let's kind of jump in here. I need to log in really fast to my trading domes. That should do it. Okay, in business. So let's get Globex high and Globex low in. We had a little pop off of non-farm payrolls, 2734.25. 2734.75 is Globex high. Just pop that in really quick. Again, the key here is, so the white zone is where the volume point of control is and the TPO point of control is. Doesn't always end up that way. That's just how it's shaking out right now. Go through the checklist of what you need to be bearish. First of all, not even bearish, but just can we get a pullback, right? We have to get underneath Thursday's high. We have to get underneath the white zone and underneath the market close, right? Fill Dalton's gap, which is at Thursday's high, right? And trap underneath. That's a lot of things that have to happen to get a significant roll down. And from a day time frame standpoint, how would you know that we're going to have a change in character? We'll trade below Thursday's low, at least for today, right? Wherever that ends up being. Until then, don't try not to have an overly large religion about where the market is or is not going to go. Okay, try to have some kind of giving the market room, right? People who've tried to short this or stand in front of it have really gotten rolled over. And as we showed yesterday, the market can advance for 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days at a time before taking a pause, right? Those who thought yesterday was the high, intraday, there were some short opportunities. But obviously, if you're coming in this morning, you're down at least another 8 points from yesterday's close at minimum, right? Down another 20 on NQ. It's just been a massive freight train, and standing in front of it, you have to have a very high level of skill, a tolerance for loss, right? And an ability to keep your cool. There's a flip side to that. Waiting for the pullback to get you long can be difficult too. You just got to go, hey, it's the first week of the year. The market will not go, well, I don't think the market will go straight up like this for an entire year, right? And if it does, hey, that's just how it works, right? And we'll just shrug our shoulders. But that's never happened before. I don't see any reason why that would change now. So Globex low, let's get that in really quick. I think it came in at 27.24, but I might be wrong. 27.23.75. Pretty close to the white zone. There we go. Close enough. So just the white zone, just slightly to include Globex low. And then let's get tick lined up in there, so we're ready to go in a couple minutes. By the way, because it's non-farm payrolls, my intention is to simply skip the first hour of the day and then pick up the pieces after that, right? All I'm trying to make sure of is that there's not any outsized move in OTF. I wouldn't anticipate there's going to be an outsized move. I'm just making sure there's not an outsized move. I don't want to get run over, short or long, to begin the day. And this is our fourth gap up, right? So as you saw yesterday with NQ, and I'll flash that up here really quick. On NQ, here we'll close that really quickly. Before I do that, I have one thing I wanted to show before I close that, so I'll leave that up. On NQ, let me move this over. I want this here. I want this here. yesterday morning, right? NQ ended up not having a terrible day. But if you printed NQ off the open because you thought it was going to drive straight up, right? If you printed off the open because you thought it was going to drive straight up, you got a pretty good spanking right out of the gate, right? 66.15 all the way down to 65.86. That's a 30-point rotation, $600 a contract, right? So even in this environment, you can wait for the pullbacks. That came right into the white zone. This was the white zone yesterday on NQ, right? This is the white zone. You can see we rolled right into the white zone and it responded right back up for 30 points. There was a great trade. I didn't take it because I was skipping the first day. Again, I'm a little off. I know that I'm a little off. I plan to be back on track today in terms of my execution. I'm just skipping the first hour to make sure I don't get clipped on first hour rotations. I need to mute everyone out there. There we go. But the white zone worked very nicely, and I expect in a strong market that TPOs and volume points of control, all of that should work really well while bulls are in the total driver's seat, right? So on NQ, which is off just a little bit off its high this morning, Globex high came in and actually good 20 points, 66.39 and a quarter. Okay, and Globex low came in at, got a feeling that was Asia, 65.99.75. That was right as well. Close enough for hand grenades, right? Okay, Globex high, Globex low. I don't have much to add on NQ either, so I'm just going to flip right over to the TPO charts here really quick. The only thing I wanted to show you before I close this up is yesterday, for the second day in a row, Russell 2000 gave a monster trade out of the white zone. It's been working really effectively. It's in a bull mode. If you can get a pullback into a key location, look for buyers to jump around. The inverse of that is we haven't gotten below the white zone. So if we do get below the white zone, watch out for some profit taking. But again, I expect the moves to be to the upside. Although I would expect us to transition to a balanced market from a straight up market, right? Which means, what does that mean? Let me show you what that means here really quick. Let's go to a higher time frame. It means instead of going vertical, that we get more of this type of price action sideways. It doesn't necessarily have to be down, but it can be where we come up, and when we just start consolidating sideways, I don't expect a major rotation back down, but you'll see after we advance, after a big advance, so this is a good example of what we had back in September. We had a huge advance to the upside, right? And see, as we started to get towards the top of that advance, see how we broke into this kind of this two-sided market. And it doesn't look like it's very long, but that lasted a couple of weeks, right? If you look from the time that we had the gap down to the time we broke back out, that was from 1019 to 1027. That's almost a week and a half, 2 weeks of balance. And if you look when we got to the very top of this range, right, the acceleration started off really hard through here. But if you look, it just got really slow and grindy. So either really slow and grindy or balance or a combination thereof. But I'd probably go with balance as opposed to rolling back. There's just too much money that's flooded in where I wouldn't expect it to roll back down. I would expect, and this is good, right? Because this means on rotations down, we can look for counter rotations back up. And that is exactly what I am hunting. So if you want to go back and see what this period could potentially look like, remember we rolled from 926 almost for a straight month, right? Almost to 1026 straight up, right? That there was some down days in there, but if you were hunting your longs through this location, you made good money through here. If you were trying to force the shorts and you weren't very skilled in this area, you were having a really, really tough time. So that's a great place to go and get a reference for what was going on and what you're looking for. We have 2 minutes to the open, so let me just jump over to the TPO really quick. Six minutes. Thank you. So we'll start with the yes. There we go. Okay, important. If we don't get underneath this area, right, it's almost impossible to have a good short setup, right? We're going to have to extend out really far, but there's nothing out here to work off of. We have to. So to give you an example of what that looks like, because I do better with visual examples, right? So see how we're moving up, 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 right? Notice that our first decent down day comes when we open and we are below the prior neighborhood, right? From here to here, this became resistance. It's much easier to short in that environment. While you are above, right, no matter how much you think the market should go down or will go down, you are going to usually find these areas providing support to the market to push back up. So you have to be pretty good at finding the edges if you're going to short for pushes back down. I think it's easier to find rotations from the downside and pushes back up. It's just part of being in an uber bull market, right? So if we come back and look at where we are right now, that means you should have a line in the sand. I know I have to trade underneath and hold underneath 27, 22 and 3/4. That's where support was all yesterday afternoon. I'd want to see us get underneath it, come back up for a backside test, and that would give us a chance to test this area right here, and then this area right here. If I look at extensions down, or significant extensions down from where I'm trading right now, 27.32, 10 down brings me right into 27.22, right? 20 down brings me down into 27.12, which puts me in this neighborhood right here, right? And then another 10 from that puts me down at 27.02. There's really nothing at 27.02, but it would be a 20-point stretch, and we would be into these single prints, which normally is not someplace I'd want to hang my hat. But you got to figure, with as strong as the market is, that they're going to attempt to respond. If this fails, about 25 down gets us into this volume point of control. It's hard for me to imagine that we get anything past 26.90 would be a pretty harsh down day, and I would expect responsive buyers and a push back up in this area. This is my highest odds location. I doubt we get there, right? But I would expect a response out of this area and a push back up. Again, there's no downside or significant rotation lower at below 27.22, and I would expect after the first hour that ES breaks into balance, right? Which means I want to catch the edges for pushes back towards VWAP or back towards the mid, one of the two. That's exactly how I'd want to play that today. What will change my opinion if we have an open drive lower and that open drive lower takes us below 27.22 and 3/4 and we don't get above it. We'll see. I would expect out of the gate that we would have a response somewhere around 27.30, 27.28, somewhere in that neighborhood from the overnight price action for a push back up. And I don't particularly have a opinion yet on NQ. Let's jump over to NQ really quick. Okay, you have to get below 65.9250 or there's nothing doing. And right now we're at 65.28. So that requires at least a 40-point rotation down. And then you're going to run smack into a naked volume point of control right near 65.85 to 65.82. I expect responsive buyers from there. The only note of caution would be if we get below that 65.64 to 65.59, that's where the chart needs to be repaired, right? If we get repaired, I would expect a response here. There's a caveat to that. We can still push beyond this point down into this level, right? You'll notice there's one last little volume piece from the volume profile right here, one little last piece, but somewhere in here, I'd expect a significant counter rotation, right? And and if we ever get below this point right here, I would expect this to become a major trap location, meaning if we push below and then push back in, and then remember your old, so these are all things that I already have in my notes and you should have in your notes from your homework, right? That's the old high right there, 65.42, right? So the chart gets repaired from 65.63 to 65.59, and we get a retest of the old high at 65.42. And I would expect somewhere in that 20-point range to get a major counter rotation back up. That's where I'd be looking to buy my options for swings back up. I'd want a hard press into that area, and I'd want it to look scary as hell, but I would expect to move back up. 100 points down from 66.27 would bring us into 65.27, right down to the low at the beginning of the rally. Again, you have to show me some evidence as to why we're going to get down there. I don't expect that, but in that area between this 65.25, if we got to an extreme, and this 65.13, again, big area for reversals. I don't expect to see anything remotely similar in that area to a open drive low. I don't expect to get down here, bottom line, right? But if we do, those are the areas. So what am I looking for in the first half hour? If I fail on NQ to close above 66.03, I'm going to assume that the buyers absolutely have it, and they're going to be right. If we can't get into this neighborhood at all, it's very rare that we fail after the first hour. We are gapping out of range, and we are above prior day's high. So the first test will be yesterday's high. Do we hold that high at 66.16, followed by can we get below 66.03? Failure to get below 66.03 in the first half hour to hour, there's nothing stopping the market from continuing to go up. That's I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying there's nothing that is stopping the market from proceeding to the upside. On ES, one more quick look. There we go. Again, we have to get below the top of this neighborhood. We have to get past here. If we fail to trade back in here, for whatever reason that is, if we fail to trade back into 27.27, I'll assume pushes back out. And my guess is we're going to come in and attempt to this is a very wide point of control. It would be very normally I would say we're going to come back in and test that 27.25. We're just in such a bull mode right now that I'm giving that a pause for the moment. But yes, normally I would say we would come in and test that 27.25 under normal strategic thought process. I'd say we're going to test that 27.25 and find responsive buyers because it was such a wide point of control. It should end up acting as a magnet, but I don't know that it will act as a magnet just because of the environment that we're in right now. So that's my 2 cents for the day. I'm going to let the first hour go, and then I plan to buy 10-point rotations down. I'm looking for tick divergence. I'm looking to get above my last best seller, right? Internals, we are at 1796 on advancers. The advanced decline ratio is 2.41. That's not by any stretch of the imagination a bearish open, right? So let's just see where the market goes this morning. I'm going to close this, right? And let the market come to you. We had plenty of trading opportunities yesterday, even though I'll grant you, I executed horribly, right? I'm the first one who will say that. NQ obviously pushing right out of the gate. ES not quite pushing, and Russell 2000 not quite pushing, but my guess is we will rectify that problem quickly, right? Anyone who wants to sell early on is, good luck. I don't know how that's going to work out for you, but I hope you kill it, but that's a really difficult call. What else was I going to say, if anything at all? Let the market come to us, guys. Again, I expect around 27.30 to get responsive buyers. So let me push this real quick. And then hold on, let me fix my other chart so I see what I'm doing. R2 on ES is sitting up at 27.3450. Again, we have nothing up here but that to work off of. So that's the only reason I'm pointing that out, the only reason I'm pointing that out is because there's nothing else out here to work off of. R1 on NQ, we're above already at 66.17. R2 we just traded to. It was 66.31 and a quarter. That's where we rejected off of. Globex high, the high of the day. Let me switch this. The high of the session was R2. $31.75. So not far off of that. We were just 2 ticks above. Yeah, someone's trying to get the heck out, and really, who could blame them? I mean, that's 4 days. That's 4 days of gap, So be my guest. I'm not taking the white zone or anything else the first hour. I'm just going to let it come in and do what it's got to do. If they can push it back up, hey, more power to them. That's great. I'm not Not interested in fighting a war one way or the other. I'll let the market come to me. Where I thought we would get a response, which was at 27.30, we've blasted right through that. Again, non-farm payroll, so almost anything can happen in that situation. And VWAP from a daytime session continuing from yesterday, we are at approximately 6,600 right now. That'll change here as we get more volume pumped into the day, but 6,600 from yesterday. And on ES, we are looking at about 27.25 for VWAP. The 24-hour VWAPs were already underneath in this particular case. So again, I'm letting the first hour go. This is Dalton's gap where they're testing. Remember, there's nothing wrong with pushing in. You can still push back out after the initial push down. I'm just going to give them some time to work it out. That's all. And we haven't turned negative on the day, so there's no reason to think anything other than buyers are in control, right? That is not how a trend day up begins, however, and we've already traded below the first 5-minute low. You can see right off that 65.16, buyer stepped right in. Again, I'm just saying these out of observation because I don't even have my domes ready to go. I haven't taken them out. I only have one set of domes that are not in demo mode. As a matter of fact, let me take this other set out. There we go. New lows on ES. That's not a trend up open there, Daniel, under any stretch of the imagination. Not yet. Like I said, I'm pretty much in hold off mode until I get past the first hour. I don't mess around with non-farm payrolls. I understand that OTF can come in and just annihilate any support level. So I'll let them finish what they got to finish. Guys, remember, there's not a rush to trade on a day like today. There just isn't. Usually, we're going to have some type of relative form of balance. We're up 4 days in a row, right? It wouldn't be surprising to see responsive buyers step in at some point, but right, the key is let them make the mistakes. Let someone else come in and make the errors. If we get past this first hour and we don't have an open drive lower, we're probably in balance at this point, and we should have trades on both sides of this deal. At this point, you have to get above your last best seller. That's that. This, I promise you, the best seller was right here on that 5-minute chart, right? So I can tell you that without even looking at anything else, that was the best seller, right? So why not let them come to you? Why sit there and fight it, right? Let me get VWAP in on this. There we go. Tick is still all positive, right? We have not had gap fill as of yet. We've had Dalton's gap, but other than that, we have not had gap fill. Trying to get back above Thursday's high. Failure to get above Thursday's high obviously pushes us in for gap fill eventually. The open is not as strong as it was yesterday, by the way. We were almost at 3 on the ratio of advancers to decliners. No, not a sign of anything, Danny. It's too early for me to tell if it means anything or not. That's why I'm not trading it. That doesn't look like OTF's involved yet, but yeah, no, I'm with you. I just can't. I just don't have a clear look at it. Remember yesterday, even though NQ was weak, ES was just strong as all get out. And there you go. ES just on a rocket ship. There's just a lot more money out there than we know that's floating around. That's all there is to it. Like there's just no one interested in taking profits. It's really pretty damn impressive that no one is scared. It's an awesome move. No, I'm with you, Ralph. I agree. I'm just waiting until we get past the first hour. I think that the shorts do have an edge here timeline wise, but I don't have enough of a faith in it to go and press it yet. Not yet. Ralph, you're looking for 34, 36? Spread this out just a bit. Maybe Bitcoin has redefined what we see as risk for the markets. You know, I didn't even bother looking, but I will. ISM non-manufacturing in 12 minutes. Not sure that makes any difference, but there it is. Russell's trading below the white zone for the first time. It attempted to bounce out of it for the first time in multiple days. Remember the Globex low, Globex high stat are still open on both NQ and DS. Well, I know I've got to get above my last. Technically, we've gotten above our last bestseller on ES, but I'm still just on hold. Whatever they do, I'm just not in the mode to chase up to trade it in the first hour. If they see fit to drive it up, then c'est la vie. I feel pretty confident that we'll get a good setup somewhere here further into the day. Ron, do you have any kind of read this morning, buddy? Yeah, me either. Yeah, I agree with you, Daniel. Well, you got to keep finding buyers to push it back up. That's part of the problem they're having. So it gets harder and harder, just like pushing a, increasing incline up and up, right? You got to come back to get fuel to push higher, is generally the way the auction works, right? So there's plenty of prices that have not been checked up upon below. But with that being said, I don't have enough confidence to step in short. Yep, I agree. Doesn't mean it has to come down, but market can stay overbought for a really freaking long time. Econ in 3 minutes. I think it's cold comfort if you guys shorted, but the market kept going up, but it was overbought. That's cold comfort when you don't have the capital. Note that the ES has gone to 2 ticks wide on the spread, right? So just be aware the market makers are backing away from the bid and the ask. See that where they're showing 19, 20 contracts on the bid there? Yeah, that's just market makers going, we could have a wide move either way. I think I'll step away until the econ's done. And there's the econ. Now we should find out which way we go. It's thin on the bid and the ask. Just be aware. The best size I see on either side is 662. Normally you'd see 1,000 to 1,200 on the bid further down in the chain. Advancers have backed off at least temporarily. We're down to 1565 on the advancers. It's not horrible. It's just right at the borderline of what you need to be bullish. They might go grab Globex high. You're right, Ron. I don't know. I'm just staying parked right where I'm at and staying in my trade plan, which was to give the first hour up and then look for opportunities after that. I know that I have to get below my last best buyer, right? And so right now, if I wanted to short, I still got to get below this mark right here, and I got to get below this mark right here, right? We got above our last best seller, which was right here. This is the backside test into them. Same thing here. We got above, we backside tested and pushed up, right? So now for me, it's just a waiting game right now. But normally on another morning, I probably would have taken, given the circumstances, I would have taken this long for a push back up. That would have been for a decent 1 or 2 point scalp. But there's nothing here that goes, wow, I've got 10 points on my plate here. Yeah, I'm with you, Ralph. I understand why you wouldn't want to take it in the first 15 minutes completely. Chop, chop, chop. So my goal is just to stay balanced. My guess is I'll have a trade before 10 or 11 a.m. And again, all I want to do is walk away with a profitable trade, one way or the other, come hell or high water. So that's my goal. I'll let them all work out how they end up paying me or not paying me. But I don't want to get involved when there's no motion in the market. You'd think today would be as good a day as any to take some money off the table for shorter term traders. And it's been a fantastic run, but who knows? If I can get underneath that 66.18, 66.20 on NQ, that gets kind of interesting to the short side for a backside test. No one wants to trade today. Look at that. It's all, there's no sellers and the buyers are having a hard time pushing. They just found the key right there. Finally. That was kind of a weird place to jump. Some algo fired off pretty hard. Okay. I wonder if some short threw in the towel. Uh, Daniel, I would say trading below prior day's low is really the key to that, right? We're one, according to Dalton, you're one time into the upside unless you close below prior day's low. Wow. It's weird. That was a weird sequence right there. That was a hard push to the upside and then a complete failure. So don't know what to say, guys. NQ's rolling. Didn't go with it either. NQ never went with it. ES did. Okay, so if we close on this 5 minutes, I don't know about that, Daniel. We close underneath this 5 minutes, right? Backside test for the stop at the high, right? And I would use the high in this particular case. That is your first potential short entry. Again, I'm waiting till the first hour is done. Again, market's acting kind of, lack of a better term, weird, right? We're all sitting around. So that could have easily just been someone who built up a short position who decided to cover right there, right? I mean, look at NQ. It's bizarro. It's literally bizarro land. So no predictions here, guys. I'm not eager to trade a market that's doing this. This is a great way to get whipsawed. And I can't tell if it wants to go down or up. So until I have an understanding of going, hey, we've gotten sellers trapped or we've gotten buyers trapped, right? I don't want to be the one to put my foot in the water. Number one thing is protect your capital till you see them understand the market. Now, the flip side of that, if you're seeing the market better than I am, go for it, right? Go take your trade, put it on, follow your process. The important thing is that you're following my process. It's that you're following your process very clearly and very cleanly. We had a VPOC shift up, by the way, to 27.30.50. Again, the number of contracts that have gone off at this time compared to yesterday is actually significantly lower than where we were yesterday. And NQ is neither bearish or bullish. It's just choppish. Thank you, Daniel. I just want to get out of this balance, higher or lower. I don't care. Just get out of balance so I can get some setups. I mean, it's a sub 10-point range on NQ. NQ making a run for the high. And all the ticks are also positive, right? Broader underlying market's doing okay. One thing you want to make sure of, guys, I'm going to reiterate again from the psychological standpoint, right? Are you trading your trade plan or are you trading the market, right? If not every market is a great trading market, just facts, right? Not every market's a great trading market. We don't know that it won't continue to run. We don't know that it will, but I do know that when I can draw a sideways box around this, that it's really hard to trade this effectively when it's like this, right? So for me, it's best to wait patiently. And besides which, my plan called for not even taking a trade in the first hour. So right now, what I see is they're sucking people in on the edges and just putting them through a rinse and spin cycle, taking their money. We're running into the 24-hour VWAP here at 2730. That's why it keeps pausing. And that 2730 and the RTH VWAP as well, actually. So it needs underneath 2730 to get and to hold underneath 2730, which is VWAP, right? To get any momentum to the downside. Same thing with 62, 22, 75 on NQ. Making another move for the high there on NQ. And you got to consider NQ's running with Intel getting just it's I mean, every Intel chip is supposedly compromised from a safety standpoint, and it makes a massive weighting on the semiconductor index. And that's the other interesting thing about the run. So I know Apple has it because it's an Intel processor that they put in Apple computers. New high on tap on NQ the hard way for sure. NQ doing it all by itself right now. Break above your last bestseller. Had to be that first bar or above that first 5-minute high. So keep that in mind. Again, the small things that keep you safe in this environment, are we below VWAP, right? Are we below the last bestseller, right? Keep you from getting short and getting run over, right? That's really, really critical components to your trading decision process. A trap back below 66.3150 would set up a potential downside move. Again, I'd want to get underneath this guy right here. Well, guys, for the guys in the room on YouTube, I was hoping to set up at least one trade to the long side, but it looks like it's going to be way too slow for me to get anything going. I'm looking to get underneath VWAP, and I'm following process for the rest of the day, but the price action just doesn't support the type of trading that I do. So I'm just going to have to wait patiently and hope for an opening up of rotation. So I appreciate you joining this morning. We'll be back Monday morning for more fun. If you'd like to join us in the room, send an email to tradeandperform, TRADENPERFORM @gmail.com. And importantly, if you liked it, if you enjoyed the market preview, if you could please hit the like button. It really, really helps me out with customer service. Just takes a second, just tab the like, and I'd really appreciate it. I hope you have a great day. Remember, don't lose your money. It's very hard to get it back, right? And very easy to give it away. Make sure you have your edge and your setup and you know exactly what you're doing. Right now, I will be interested in a short on NQ. If I can get underneath this buyer right here, I will look for an entry to the short side, particularly if I can get underneath 66.23, which is VWAP right now. And same thing on ES. I'd like to see a punch below to start looking to come in and doing some backing filling and taking advantage of some of the profit taking. If we can get a rotation down for 10 to 15 points, I will look for long side trades. Again, getting above my last best seller as my indicators show me who that may be. So anyways, my 2 cents, guys. Have a wonderful day and have a great weekend.